warm vinyl. You want to tell that to my wife, 17? Negative, Charlie 13. You're on your own. That's what I thought. Ash hung up the microphone and turned the radio to low before fishing his cell phone from his pocket. He called his wife far more often than he did anyone else, so her number occupied the first slot in his address book. It only took a couple of button presses to get her on the phone. Hey, honey. Guess whose favorite person is going to be late tonight? Hannah paused. I wouldn't know. My two favorite people are in the living room with me. She meant their two kids. Ash glanced at a colored pencil drawing of a police officer on his dashboard that his daughter Megan had given to him that morning before he left for work. Now that he wore a uniform every day instead of a detective's suit, she told everybody, stranger or friend, about her police officer father. I suppose your third favorite person is going to be late. Sorry. How late? Your sister and Nasser are coming over for iftar in a few hours. Ash's stomach rumbled, reminding him that he hadn't eaten since before sunrise that morning. Iftar is the evening meal that breaks a Muslim's fast during Ramadan, and he had been looking forward to it all day. He glanced out his window and noticed a line of cars that had begun to queue on the street, their drivers likely thinking he would open the road and wave them through eventually. Pedestrians, meanwhile, had begun to gather on the porches and stoops of houses nearby. I'm not sure. I'll head out as soon as another supervisory officer gets here. Shouldn't be too long. Are you close? We're out of dates, so I wanted to go to the grocery store. I'd rather not lug the kids around if I can help it. You know how Megan gets. Ash knew what she meant. The last time he had taken his daughter to the grocery store, she made beeping noises when an overweight woman backed her cart up in a crowded aisle. Megan laughed, but the overweight woman didn't find it quite that funny. Ash looked around him again, confirming his location with street signs. I'm about a block north of the fairgrounds. Once I get moving, it should only take me 10 or 15 minutes to get home. Are you sure you're not in a bar? Ash didn't like admitting it aloud, but the question had merit. God forbade Muslims from drinking alcohol, and Ash usually managed to avoid it. He had more difficulty on some days than others, though. I haven't had a drink in 8 months. That's what you keep telling me, said Hannah, her voice a little sharp. Are you sure you're not in a bar? Positive. Good, she said, her voice softening to its usual tone. What are you doing by the fairgrounds? That's a pretty rough neighborhood. It was a good question, but maybe not for the reason Hannah expected. Off the top of his head, Ash could think of 3 unsolved homicides and half a dozen assaults that had occurred within 5 blocks of his present location. That usually kept the tourists away. Moreover, the Mercedes probably cost more than what the average resident of that neighborhood made in 5 years. The driver might have just been lost, but Ash's curiosity had been piqued. Can I call you back? He asked. I'm going to check something out. Yeah, give me a call when you figure out when you can come home. Ash told her that he would before hanging up. As soon as he opened his door, he coughed hard. Indiana didn't have yearly vehicle emission tests like neighboring states, so many of the cars on its streets spewed air so toxic and thick that breathing their exhaust almost hurt. In the middle of summer, with its heat and humidity, hell just barely edges out a busy Indianapolis street for most uncomfortable spot in the universe. He walked toward the Mercedes with his shirt sleeve covering his mouth and nose. The vehicle was a relatively new S550, and its black paint gleamed in the afternoon sun as if it had been freshly waxed. The rear end had neither dents nor dings, so the driver likely hadn't been hit from behind. He went into the pole on his own. No one inside moved. Ash leaned his head to the side and activated the radio on his shoulder. Control, this is Charlie 13. Please put emergency service...